But honestly, that's why even now today, that's why I have like muscles in my arms and stuff. When you work out, if you work out to a certain extent, even though the muscles will degrade over time, they're never gonna fully go away. And that's why even to this day, I still have some, muscles and everything in my upper body versus some people have nothing. They got those noodle arms, right? Well, I don't have noodle arms.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to something completely unplanned, and I'm not too happy about it, to be quite frank. It's actually Tuesday, the 23rd of April, 2024, and this is my typical late-night stream where I would have something interesting for you, whether it be gameplay or a special event or something. Tonight, particularly, on deck, on schedule here, was something fresh and different and new, something that people had literally requested from me, built up in hype for me for many, 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 many years. All right, tonight, what I was supposed to do is I was supposed to check out something called Fightcade on PC. For those who don't know, Fightcade is a third party, not branded to any particular company.
If you watched my live stream, you'll know that when Phil did his either the company could be sued because they release your IP or you're wrong bit, that I kept saying that there is no parent company, there is no centralized server, so there can't be a neutral keeper of the IPs, so to speak. It's about community. That's why people are okay with connecting with Fightcade, because they haven't spent their life pissing off the entire world. And here Phil admits knowledge of this, so to use his sort of if-then logic, either he knew this when he was doing that bit and intentionally came off looking like a regard, or he's recently understood it and will now begin to retcon.
Application that runs on PC, and what it does is it combines emulator suites, so different versions of gaming emulators, with the online capabilities of the GGPO rollback netcode to create a product that allows you to match up with people from all over the globe and play games for free on your PC over the internet, particularly one-on-one fighting games from yesteryear that aren't really readily available to play in any modern capacity at all. For the most part, what Fightcade was originally designed to do was posterity, meaning allow people to access games that can no longer be actively played in arcades because they don't exist anymore, or on home consoles because there's just no ports that really are viable to play. In this case, I'm talking about the era of CPS-1, CPS-2 games, the CPS-3 games, such as the Street Fighter 3 series, etc. Those games particularly are what Fightcade was really designed to emulate. Now, for them to understand, there's been other things that have been added over the years. But this is like the way that people in the fighting game community play against each other to play old school fighting games. Particularly for me, I was stoked because my favorite fighting game of all time is Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. There's currently no real active way to play that game on a console. The two versions that are readily available are the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, which is completely busted. There's no way to moderate and make it so that trolling doesn't happen, and people have found ways to break the game because it's just not a very good version. And the Capcom Fighting Collection, which actually doesn't run too poorly, but no one bought it, so because of that, there's no one playing this game in that collection. So really, if you own a console, you're boned. You can't play Super Turbo, okay?
Mentioned this in my stream as well. The only game he's really interested in, and rightfully so, is Super Turbo, because that's the only one that he has above average skill at, or so my chat told me yesterday. And again, he's recognized that the service is free. There is no overarching parent company. It's an at-risk product. If you use it, you do so at your own risk. But whatever, let's listen to Phil be a victim.
Other games that I love, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, versions of the Alpha series. Like, hell, I would play any of the three Alphas, although Alpha 2 is my favorite. I would play 1, 2, or 3. The Versus series of games. For example, X-Men versus Street Fighter or Marvel versus Capcom. I love those games. I was quite good at those games back in the day. I would be super happy to play those games with actual competition and people who know what they're doing and play them across the globe. That would be sweet. But here's the deal. Years and years and years, people have asked me to do this, to play Fightcade. I never really had, in the last decade, the capability of doing so because I capture, stream, and do everything on one PC. I don't have a dual PC setup where I can run a game on one PC and then have that feed go into the other PC for capture and streaming. It's all on one PC, okay? So there was no way, excuse me, that I was going to be able to do Fightcade until I had some kind of a solution for this, all right?
And this is what 10 years of business negligence does to you, Phil. The man is running on a PC that runs Windows 8. He brags he's been making content for 16 years, but in the past decade hasn't had the foresight to save for an upgraded main system. Lucky for him, he has his audience to pass the blame on to. Well, that is until he was gifted the mini PC with the processor designed to overheat. What a regarded statement that was. But now that he's had that for, God, it must be about a year now, he's just now wanting to install Fightcade. A genius business acumen, ladies and gentlemen, a true prodigy of entrepreneurship.
So now I do. Last year, a viewer donated a mini PC, and we played a few things on it. Like I played Chrono Trigger on PC. We actually tried out like Phasmophobia during a Christmas holiday and stuff like that. We've done a few little things on it, but the whole idea was that eventually we were going to play Fightcade on there. That was the big epic thing. And I said, let's just find the time to do it. And now's the perfect time. We actually have 3 freaking weeks until there's major new releases that I'm interested in. So I'm like, oh, this would be perfect for us to set it up, get it in a rotation, and be playing all these cool classic fighters and all this stuff. And that's what the purpose of tonight was supposed to be. Right now, we were supposed to set this up so that we could do it together and start playing, like pick games and stuff and start trying it out, right?
And here comes the victim segment. It's not going to be his fault. It's your fault. It's my fault. Me.
So, no exaggeration. 10 years. Since I lived in Washington, I've been streaming classic fighting games on console. I've been told, oh, Ultra Street Fighter 2, that's the wrong way to do it. It's crap. Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, you're doing it the wrong way. It's crap. Oh, Capcom Fighting Collection, oh, it's crap. You're dodging the competition. You're not playing the good players. This is all your fault. All you need to do is play Fightcade, okay? So now, I have the capability to do it. And that was tonight. And then this morning, on my Level 1 podcast in the morning, I'm discussing this with the crowd live, with the audience. You know, good crowd this morning, by the way. And I want to say thank you to anyone who was there, because there were some good Samaritans. Let me tell you, there were some good Samaritans there this morning. Holy moly.
I didn't expect the retconning to come quite this quickly, because that's not what happened at all, nor did he interpret it as people being good Samaritans. People who brought up IP logging were talked about for all of a tenth of a second, and then the inferiority complex kicked in, which involved the DSP whining like a grade schooler about how life isn't fair for him, and for 10 years he was right all along.
And I do want to say one thing, before we actually even go much further. I got the weirdest message during the break. I got an email from someone who was like, I'm so upset with you because you attacked me today on the podcast and you insulted me and I want an apology. And I was like, I'm reading the message, right? And I'm looking and I'm like, that literally didn't happen. Like, I think what happened was someone was being very stupid in the chat at one point about like being a jerk to me. And I responded to them, but I didn't say a name. And someone else must have misconstrued it as I was singling them out in the chat. The thing is, this person was not moderated. I did not call them out by name. Somehow they 100% misunderstood who I was talking to. So I'm just going to say this to anyone who attends my content or my streams. This is something that I should air out. Basically, if you think that I'm directly addressing you, you should probably ask me and make sure that I am. But the truth is that usually if I am addressing someone directly, like a person directly in the chat, I will tell you, like, you're messing around, you know, don't do that. Or I will call you out. I will moderate. I'm not, in general, just attacking people for no reason in my chat. They're always doing something stupid that allows me to then have to basically do something about it. You know what I'm saying?
DSP, that's not how this works. You don't get to say that the person is misunderstanding, especially because you use broad sweeping statements like anyone who says or anyone who thinks as a common practice in your streams. And even if they weren't moderated, you can still talk about a topic so specifically to a chat stimulus that someone will know it's their chat you're talking about. But as always, Phil did nothing wrong. He did everything correct, obviously. And while I haven't pre-watched or listened to this, I'm willing to bet that before the end of this bullshit session, he makes another generalized or sweeping statement. Hell, I may make a counter for it on this video.
But yeah, like someone completely misunderstood or misconstrued what happened and took it as a personal insult. I mean, obviously, I apologize to whoever that person is if they actually thought I was insulting them. I wasn't talking to them at all. In fact, I don't even know what they said in chat because I was talking totally to somebody else. So, but be careful. You got to be careful about this, guys. Here's why. I'm one person. You are many. Right? Right now we have a chat of hundreds of people. I do my best to talk with you and have conversation or whatever, but I can't basically be perfect all the time and be clear exactly who I'm addressing. Right now I'm talking to everyone generally, right? Don't take it to heart. If I say something on stream and you get upset, did he say that to me? Did I? Well, if I did, I would have said your name and I would have moderated you if I felt that you broke the chat rules. If I didn't do that, then I wasn't talking to you, right? So I actually feel like that like some people, they take it the wrong way or whatever. I'm not, like, literally, this person, I apologize to them if they took it that way, but that was not the intention. I wasn't insulting this person whatsoever. I wasn't even responding to them talking in the chat. I don't even know what they said. So there you have it. Anyway, I just want to get that out of the way. Please be careful. Don't always take what I say as like I'm directly talking to you, especially if all of a sudden I'm responding to something in the chat. It doesn't mean I'm responding directly to you unless I call you out. Then you know I'm talking to you, okay? I do feel it's kind of unfair. Like I said, I'm one, you are many. If everyone takes every word I ever say as I'm talking directly to you, I guess we're going to have some problems, right? Fair enough? Okay. Now, getting back on subject, as we're doing the podcast this morning, the Level 1 podcast, a few good Samaritans actually came to the stream and said, hey, just so you know, it sounds like no one has ever told you this before, but when you play Fightcade, your IP address gets exposed. Now, it took us about half an hour to hash this out, but by the end of a half an hour segment on the podcast, we kind of figured out exactly how it all works. And so here's how Fightcade actually works. There's a chat room. No, your information does not get exposed in the chat room. okay? There's like a client where you search for people, and all you see in the client where you search for people is a geolocation. So you'll see, oh, okay, this person's located in the USA. This person's located in the UK. This person is in, Mexico or whatever, right? So you at least know what country they're in. But you don't see their IP address. However, so what I'm understanding, Fightcade is a free program, all right? It's totally free. There is no paid version that's better, that has features. It's just something that everyone uses in the FGC for posterity to keep classic fighting games alive, which is to be well respected and regarded. Thank you to the people who make Fightcade for doing that. That's very nice of you to keep fighting games alive that normally wouldn't have any player base because there's no way to play them, all right? It would be nice if we had perfect versions of these games on console. We do not, correct?
So we're continuing to retcon because, as a reminder, his initial take was, what kind of stupid company wouldn't protect IP addresses? That makes them liable for a lawsuit. This implies that over the break, attorney side Phil was told, because he wouldn't look it up, that there is no legal implication for the reasons I've already mentioned. So now magically it's thanks for keeping the community live. You're to be commended, as opposed to, what kind of moronic company wouldn't protect your IP address? It's a subtle shift of narrative, to be sure, but it's a noticeable one to me.
Anyway, apparently it's peer-to-peer. What that means is there's no central server that you connect to. Instead, it's you are directly connecting to someone else. And even though you can't actively see it yourself, yes, your IP address gets exposed when you connect to someone. Now you might say, well, why is this not a big deal for anyone? Well, because normally people don't have endless armies of complete mentally challenged weirdos on the internet chasing them around trying to ruin their business and their life, but I do. Okay? It's sad. It's just a crazy hate mob of weird people that follow me around to try to do this stuff, but it's just present. So what happens is apparently you need to have third-party things going. So for example, it wouldn't be in Fightcade, but they could do something like use an IP sniffer, which is a third-party program you can get, and it can interact with Fightcade, and it can find out the IP address of the person that you've matched against to play. So it might not happen immediately, but within, a session or two, there's definitely a chance that one of these trolls, okay, that they will do this, right? One of these trolls will eventually match with me, get my IP address, and there you go. In fact, Bonos Temo says, if you do a Google search for Fightcade security issues, the 6th result is an X post explaining everything about it. It is definitive on this issue. There's just a no-go here. So unless the makers of Fightcade work with some other method to hide someone's IP address in the app itself, which I don't think they're going to do. It's a free app, right? They're not, maybe if they were receiving payment for this app, they could develop something that makes it foolproof, much like when you're playing these games over a console through a GUI or its own matchmaking system where you have no access to the back-end data. But apparently you can do that just easily, just using an IP sniffer program. You can get the IP right out of Fightcade. You can get someone's IP. So why isn't it a big deal for anyone else? Because no one else gets harassed like me. Everyone else just plays casually for themselves. Even a casual fighting game streamer, you get a few hundred people on your stream or whatever, no one's going to dox you. But because I'm Darkside Phil, and people hate me for literally no good reason, they're just nuts, they will dox me. They will basically get my IP address, put it on the internet, and probably get a bunch of people to DDoS attack me. Great, right? Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, because all day people have been saying, use a VPN, 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 use a VPN. We already addressed it on the podcast, but I'll readdress it now. Okay? There are services out there, VPNs, that essentially spoof your location so that you look like you're somewhere else, so no one can actually find out your true IP address. Okay? So, for example, I could get one of these. I know there's a bunch of them. There's NordVPN, ExpressVPN. There's like a ton of them that are commercially used. And you pay a subscription fee a month. And basically, when you go to do anything, before you actually get to the destination you want to go. So let's say, for example, I was going to stream on YouTube, but I wanted to protect my IP. Instead of connecting directly to YouTube and then streaming to YouTube, I would connect through this VPN first, then to YouTube, and YouTube would actually think that my broadcasting location was another country or another place. And apparently they have things all over the place. Like some of them are international, some of them have several things in the United States. But the one big problem with VPNs, okay, is very, very simple. They add lag.
So let's discuss what a VPN or virtual private network is and what it is used for. While there are some accuracies about what Phil says, he makes it sound like if you use a VPN, you're being evil and sneaky, and he likely has that feeling because of the Argentinian memberships, but VPNs aren't bad. It's a routing service. You directly connect to a service with your request. That server acts as a proxy for you, making the request for you from that server's IP address, protecting you. Once that server gets the information, it relays it back to you directly. So the latency is an additional hop plus whatever processing time to route the request correctly. What does this mean for speed? For me, using Ookla speed test, my downpipe was 920-ish megabits per second, and with Viper VPN connected to a Chicago server, I was at 780 megabits per second. Now, I know connection latency has more to do with just up and down pipe, but we're not talking about Call of Duty levels of input. We're talking an 8-way stick, light, medium, heavy punch, and light, medium, heavy kick. That's 14 individual inputs. On what planet does DSP think that the latency difference between non-VPN connection and VPN connection would cause latency of an extreme caliber? It's the dumbest argument.
Because you're not broadcasting from where you are, you're going from somewhere else. So for example, if I were to use a VPN to change my IP address, all right, so that I could play Fightcade and protect my IP, number one, it's going to add input lag to the game. In which case, why bother playing online if you're adding delay to make it lag? The other person won't have the lag, I will, right? I'll have additional, and it's already rollback netcode. It's already rollback netcode where things are going to be going all over the place, teleporting. Now imagine that added with a VPN that's adding lag, correct? And as much as people want to be really optimistic about this and say, well, you can get a VPN that maybe will broadcast out of Seattle or whatever, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's going to add lag enough that it's going to make it not viable. It's going to make it as laggy as it was on the console versions anyway. So there's no point. I could just play the console version, which is also broken and laggy, and there's no point. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's just dumb. Why would I do that? Why would I pay to get a VPN only to play on Fightcade for the few times that I will do this a month? You know, Fightcade probably be something I'll do like once a week, you know, 4 times a month. I'm going to do a specific subscription just to get a VPN, just to change my IP address, just to stream that one particular app 4 times a month and add lag and make myself miserable, right?
Because it's not about you, Phil. Your viewers, your customers want to see you play Fightcade. You have a problem with trolls, which is a product of your own doing, but it's your problem. A VPN protects you and allows you to use the service. The fact it's not perfect and would make you miserable isn't a concern of your viewer, and you placing that burden on them is both unfair and entitled as fuck.
It's insane. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, I don't even have confidence. I don't have confidence that this would even work without the VPN. What I mean by that is this is rollback netcode. I don't like rollback netcode. I think rollback netcode hides lag from the viewer. If you're watching, it doesn't look laggy. But half the time when I'm playing a game like Street Fighter 6, my inputs are delaying and dropping. When I do them, it's not good. It's already frustrating. Now I'm going to add even additional delay to that situation using a VPN, right? And then on top of that, there's no guarantee this thing's even going to be that fun or work. Because, you know, it's one thing when it's just a free thing, you mess around with it, big deal. It's another thing when you're paying a subscription service just to use the stupid thing, and then it ends up being a flop or what people are on to play. It's just not worth it.
As stated, I use Viper VPN, and I use their 1-year billing option, which is $5 a month. So in total, every year, I pay $60 once, and I have a year of protection. But Mr. Hogan's here. Mr. Hogan's can't afford $60 one time. I don't believe him, but let's go with that.
No guarantees that a VPN would do anything to help, okay? So, basically, it's shot, it's kaput, it's off the table, and there's nothing that I can do about it. I'm sorry. I wanted to play Fightcade for you guys. For years, people came. I want to say you guys, but I don't want to say it was all of you, because who knows actually who it was. But I remember particularly as I played games like Ultra Street Fighter 2 on the Switch, or the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, you know, on my Xbox or PlayStation, people would say, man, you're just stupid. Everyone who's anyone is playing Fightcade, and you're dumb because you're purposefully dodging the competition. That's what they would say. DSP is purposefully dodging the competition by playing on console, because it's like a small pool of people who aren't good, right? Oh, if he played on PC, he'd be playing the cream of the crop, the better players, and he would be spanking, or he'd be getting spanked by everyone. Now, I'm not disputing that. The people who play on PC on Fightcade probably play all the time. Unlike me, who I'm rusty and I play these occasionally, these are probably people who've been actively playing these games for ages and ages and ages. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like, people would always come by and say, Phil, why are you not playing the real comp? Why are you not? And so all these years I'm thinking, you know, maybe when I finally get the capability of doing this, I want to play Fightcade. And now I have it. And I advertised, and we talked about this for months. We talked about ever since I got the mini PC that I would do it. We said I was going to do it in December, then it got delayed. Then we said January, then it got delayed again. There was all these opportunities for you to find out about this. It wasn't until the morning that I was going to do the Fightcade setup tonight that I was told that this happens. It was the morning of, during a 10-year span, that everyone crapped on me saying I was a coward dodging the competition.
A few things to get out there. Number 1, you are a coward. 2, you are a coward. Like, the largest coward I know. 3. The morning of. Well, whose fault is that, Phil? I know you think it's not yours, but for 10 years people have told you to do this and you haven't thought to do any research beforehand? Only on the morning of setting it up, which you should have set it up way in advance. Only then do you even think to ask or look up into the connections. 4. You're not a victim. Grow up. I am legitimately in awe of how Phil can live like this, as a perpetual passenger in his own life. He honestly thinks he has no control. He believes that things just happen to him. But I suppose when you are a perpetual coward, all you can do is hope that things get better. Personally, I'd try to make things get better, but what do I know?
The truth of the matter is, I never would have been able to do it because it exposes my IP, and it was all a lie. And thankfully, it was people like Bonos Tecmo and a few others. It was him and like 2 or 3 other people who were all finding the information and putting it in the chat this morning. I basically once again have dodged a huge bullet. Ladies and gentlemen, 2024 is officially the year of me dodging 1,000,000 huge bullets. So far, it's like the fucking Matrix, and I'm just doing Matrix dodging like Keanu Reeves right now. All these bullets are passing me by because there were so many opportunities for bad things to happen, and somehow I'm dodging them. I mean, this is good, obviously, but it definitely is frustrating that so many things, are kind of not working out in a positive way. I wish they did, In this case, I don't like the fact that I can't play classic fighting games. I want to. This sucks that I can't, that I don't have an access to it, but others can, right? Because others don't have an army, a legion of fucking trolls after them. It's kind of like, it's very similar to the situation where people are saying, what about all these gifted memberships that you keep getting from trolls that you're saying, they're not real? Well, they are real, but they're basically discounted because they're using an exploit. They're using a VPN to pretend like they're in another country where the pricing is incorrect on memberships, and then they're mass buying them for a few pennies. And so it ruins the whole membership system. It breaks it. And people are like, so why is that affecting you and not others? Because I'm Darkside Phil, and I'm the one who's stalked by literally thousands of mentally ill people who think that that's okay to do. It's okay to exploit a system as long as it hurts Phil. It's okay to skirt the rules as long as it hurts Phil. It's okay to literally break the law, which has happened to me many times over the years. People breaking the law just to hurt Phil. That's sick. There's other fighting game streamers out there literally right fucking now who are playing on Fightcade. And there are no trolls going in using IP sniffers to find their IP address, post it up on the internet on Kiwi farms, and have everyone DDoS attack them. That's not happening. People even said it earlier. Avoid the Puddle is a prominent fighting game streamer who gets to play Fightcade all the time. And he has never had this issue whatsoever. Not once has this happened to him. He could just play it with no issue. Why? Because he doesn't have an army of weirdo, loser, mentally ill people following him around. So he can have a normal life. I can't. I'm not free to have a normal life because of this. And then people idiotically say things in the chat like earlier, oh, victim complex. It's not a fucking complex, you idiot. It's documented factual shit that's happening. I'm not making it up. You say victim complex if you're actively trying to make yourself a victim for sympathy. I don't want anyone's sympathy. I just want to do the normal shit everyone else can fucking do, and I'm not allowed to. This is not a victim complex. It's my fucking reality that every place I turn, I get harassed by weirdos and losers and people who should be mentally examined for help. Because if they think this is a use of something normal in their life, they're out of their minds. They are infatuated with me and my family, and they're actively trying to harass us at every turn.
Right, Phil. You're just powerless. You're helpless. You're the victim. You can't control your behavior, your emotions, your outbursts, your racism, your sexism, your homophobia. You can't control that you've never apologized for your past mistakes. You can't control that you've never apologized to Lavinia, King Be Cruel, or anybody else you've been horrible to. You can't control that you call people pieces of dog shit when you get beat by them in Street Fighter. You can't control your unwillingness to show where your money goes or explain why you need all the money that you are given on a daily basis. Yes, Phil, we get it. You're the victim. You are the specialist boy of special boys. Good job, Phil.
So, it's this simple. I'm not allowed to do the things everyone else does. Just like back when I was on Twitch, I was not allowed to have a sponsored stream because my trolls would harass whoever the sponsor was, and the sponsor would demand from Twitch that I no longer get these sponsored opportunities because they don't want to be harassed by trolls, so then they kicked me out of the program and never told me. They literally lied to me about it. Outright lied and said, oh, it was a coding error. They weren't man enough to say, oh, we're kicking you out of the program unfairly because of your trolls. They lied about it and said it was a coding error that I couldn't see the page. Yes, that's what they told me. Okay? So it's just one of many, many things. It's why I can't have a merch page. Because if I have a merch page, my trolls go to the vendor and complain that I'm a bigot and a racist and a sexist and the king of hate and I'm a horrible person and they don't want to do business with them. So then they kick me out because they're getting harassed. You see? Not that any of this is true, but they don't care. They just don't want the hassle. So this is why I can't get the same things as everybody else. This is why when people say, well, why don't you just take on sponsors? Because I can't take on a sponsor. Even if I did, it wouldn't last because of this. Do you understand? I have to basically make a living just off of streaming. That's it. I can't get income from anywhere else because of these idiots. That's not a victim complex. That's actual reality for me.
That's kind of the very definition of a victim complex, Phil. Defined, it's when a person feels like a victim across situations, even when the evidence suggests otherwise. So, all the times that you're like, oh, I have this undeserved hate, despite the fact that you insult people, demean people, tell people who are experts in their field, or at least who are employed in certain aspects of a field, that they don't know what they're talking about, and that they're moronic, and that they're stupid, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, none of that has anything to do with how people treat you, how you're trolled, none of that, right? It's all out of your power.
Because these idiots won't leave me alone. What they don't realize is all the things they don't like. So for example, they don't like it when I go on a stream and I talk about this. They don't like it if I'm on a stream and I say, hey guys, will you contribute to support my stream tonight? Oh, he's an e-beggar. Oh, he's a victim. But I have to do that because you fucked my life up. You understand that? If you would fucking stop, if you wouldn't dox me, I could be playing Fightcade right now like everyone else who uses it. If you wouldn't fuck up sponsors, I would have had sponsors years ago, and I wouldn't have been in the financial situations that I got into.
And here's a great example of having an external locus of control as well as demonstration of his complete lack of accountability. So let's break the argument down piece by piece. Part 1, the things I do that people don't like e-beg. Rephrased is people don't like when I e-beg. And this is true, and we'll visit this again shortly. Part 2, but I have to do that because you fucked my life up. A key point of the argument. Because external source did A, I am forced to perform action B. And the logic stops here by design for Phil. The natural question should then be, why did B occur to cause A? And this is a crucial aspect that Phil will never visit. According to Phil's logic, the meme, I've done nothing wrong, I've done everything correct, the fact that he has trolls and detractors is a series of uncontrollable circumstances, something that was fated to occur for no reason whatsoever. We detractors see the flaw in this logic and know that it's because Phil has done horrendous things in the past and continues to do those horrendous things now. And we detractors try to document it and try to hold Phil accountable. This is the B in his equation. Knowing this, let's restate his argument. The things I do that people don't like e-beg, they don't understand that I have to do that because I've wronged so many people in the past, haven't taken accountability for these actions, have not apologized, have not changed, and this has led to a slew of internet personalities trying to get me to own up to my mistakes. Since I refuse to do so, it's fucked up my life. Part 3 of his argument, if you wouldn't dox me, I could be playing Fightcade right now. If we rephrase that, it's if you would stop holding me accountable and allow me to do whatever I want to do, I could make money and live freely. But because you try to hold me accountable, I can't play Fightcade like everyone else who treats people fairly and with kindness. And lastly, part 4 of his argument, if you wouldn't fuck up sponsors, I would have had sponsors years ago. If we rephrase that, it's if you wouldn't tell sponsors about my previous behavior, they wouldn't be able to say, this behavior doesn't mesh with our message, but because you tell sponsors the truth, it made me spend money I didn't have. And this is just absolute insanity to me.
You created the problem with the level of harassment you did against me, and then you complained about the consequences of the problem. Your consequences created actions for me that I couldn't avoid, and now I'm living with those repercussions of your actions, and I'm just trying to make a living, but you're not happy with that. But you created the situation. You're fucking stupid. You're the dumbest people on earth. Do you get it? You're literally the dumbest people. You created the situation you don't like. I wasn't ever having to do shit like this back in the day. When I was 10 years ago before This Is How You Don't Play, I just did whatever. I played games, I uploaded videos, I went on trips, I did everything. I had no issues with my income. So because I was able to do whatever the hell I wanted, I was free. I wasn't sitting there begging people for contributions. I wasn't saying, oh, we got to have a Patreon, and we got to have a PayPal, and we got to have this. It was literally just, here's my videos, watch them, ad revenue. Thanks so much.
I am horrified beyond words here. He even says, quote, I was able to do whatever the hell I wanted. I was free, end quote. This is the definition of a narcissistic personality. Phil has the desire to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, however he wants, and wants to face no consequences for his actions. Now, a bit about me. Thanks to a bit of the tism and a warped view of how rules were applied to me as a kid, I have a massive issue with what I perceive to be injustice. It's really what made me latch on to Phil, because he doesn't face the consequences I believe he deserves. But this complex or issue I have eventually made me realize that for every rule I want someone else to follow, I must abide by the rules in order to avoid being seen as a hypocrite. Phil seems to share this injustice complex with me, but only wants everyone else to be held accountable. Only he should be immune to the rules. This is genuinely disturbing. Elliot Rogers levels of disturbing. I'm not joking. He should be on a list.
Done. And I gave shit away constantly. Like, giveaways every fall. All this shit behind the scenes. Hell, I used to be able to afford to give money to charity. And I did many times behind the scenes back when I actually made money to do it. But I can't anymore because people fucked with my life so much. So you created the monster. You created the situation. And now you want to hold me accountable for it when you did it. Fuck you. Fuck every one of you. Every one of you out there who acts like this and does this horrible things to me and my family. That's why I can't play Fightcade. That's why I can't do the normal things other streamers do. It's you. You're the problem. If you don't exist right now, if you were finger snapped out of existence, things would be better. Think about that. That all you do is you sit around, you hurt people all day long, and people would probably be happier if you would just change your behavior immediately. But you won't, because you've been doing this to me for over a decade. Right? This is just insane how they act, these fucking people.
On my stream yesterday, I stated that I would be down for a Phil redemption arc. I no longer think this to be possible. The sheer amount of ego this quote-unquote man has is so vast, so immense, that for the redemption arc to start, he needs more therapy than he has time left on this planet. Here's a good rule of thumb. If you're in a group, community, city, or other gathering of persons, and 99% of the people that you come in contact with in that group have a cause to have conflict with you, you are the problem. You are the common denominator. Now, maybe this is because you're right and they're wrong. Think Copernicus and the Earth is round, but that is a historical rarity. So Phil, if we've been doing this for a decade, if once people really see your content, they intrinsically become detractors, I am legitimately begging for you to see. You are the problem. You are the common denominator. Your behavior creates us.
So anyway, that's what's going on. That's why I'm trying to express how openly disappointed I am right now with the fact that I can't play retro fighting games. I was stoked and pumped for this. You guys built this up for years that it was going to be something great. And now I can't do it. You know? And now, I mean, to be particularly honest, it just sours me from wanting to do something. Like right now, what should we do tonight? I don't fucking know. I'm not even in a mood to fucking do anything. I'm not. I'm pissed that I'm not allowed to have the things that anyone else who turns on their PC to stream can do. I'm really ripping pissed. And I don't think that I should now have to fucking come up with some bullshit, extravagant fallback plan because of the actions of a bunch of shitbags out there who have no fucking lives.
And as if to put a cherry on top, not only can he not control his emotions, not only does he admit to basically being unhinged and unable to control himself beyond stimulus equals reaction, he has no contingency plans. No stopgaps. Just, this didn't work, so fuck it.
Advance, all right? Now, I will say one thing, because A. Schraub said, you know, when you talk about your detractors and your trolls, it just gives them the attention, and then they listen, they're going to do it anyway. It doesn't matter what I say or do. They do it anyway. They invent shit up that doesn't happen on my stream and title their videos that and then creatively edit to make it look like it happened when it didn't. They do whatever they want. It doesn't matter what I say or do. I'm not a fucking pussy coward who thinks that, oh, I better not say anything because God forbid my trolls might attack me. They do it anyway, so I don't give a fuck about what they do. Do you think I give two flaming turds? I'm a scat man. What the fuck they say about me? They can eat my shit out of my ass with a spoon. I'm a scat man. There you go. I don't give a fuck. I'll say what I want, and I'll talk about what I want. And in this case, I needed to talk about it because it's unfortunate because a lot of people were looking forward to Fightcade, including me, and I can't do it now, and it's their fucking fault, so they can eat shit.
I also mentioned this in my stream yesterday that I'm re-listening to a book called The Courage to be Disliked, and I'm to a point where it's revealed that an inferiority can be used as a superiority if you don't allow people to help or reframe your perspective. So the example is, if a man is 5 foot 1 inch and has thoughts of inferiority about his height, that's natural. However, if someone were to come up to this man and say, hey, being 5'1" isn't all bad, tall men will sometimes naturally intimidate people. With your stature, you may get people to open up far quicker than your taller colleagues. If the response is then, you don't understand what it's like to be short, this is an attempt to garner pity and attention, and this is what Phil is doing. You shouldn't give attention to your trolls, the chat says. They lie and are assholes, and I'm not a coward, the coward boasted loudly into the camera. And then, of course, Phil refuses to change, because Phil is superior in his eyes. Seriously, if you're into Phil as a detractor, start reading philosophy. In particular, Adlerian psychology discusses so much that directly applies to Phil. I had initially thought I was going to react to the whole damn thing, but really, that's it for the supremely toxic shit. I know he goes into his members and such, and that may be a separate video, but for now, I'm out of time on this one, and I want to get it out because I've been slacking on non-streaming content, so here you go. Big ups to RawPhil, who I used for the content, and big ups to those who view, like, share, comment, etc. It's always appreciated, and I read them all. Of course, the biggest of ups are reserved for my members, from the newbies to the gym rats. I appreciate you all, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. Until next time, swole is the goal for a troll. Lift heavy, eat clean. And remember, it's not Phil's fault. It's our fault. So let's all come together to laugh at Phil. All of us, including you, and including me. Ree!